Still setting it up a little bit, guys. Good, no one's watching. I gotta fix that. Let's see. Let's cookie. November 8th, X-ray Lima, Quebec. Testing the continuity. Looks like it's working. N8XLQ. Live, guys.
Good morning, Lenny. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Hey, good morning, everybody. Beautiful day, at least right at the moment it is here in North Central Ohio. Welcome to the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Of course, we meet here every Wednesday, beginning at this time, 10:15 a.m., mainly for the handling of formal guest traffic, but also to share amateur radio-related information. So if you're tuned in here with us this morning and you're in the sound of my voice, you are in the right place. We got all kinds of cool stuff to share with you here this morning. When you check in, if you're interested in our HF liaison to the 10:30 a.m. session for the Ohio single-side band, that just let me know when you transceiver. If you haven't already, if you want to follow along and identify a few components where you can earn a point towards the lotto card. And all you need to do is just Google FT or ASU FT 991A service manual, and you'll find various PDF documents. And pick one. They're all pretty similar, and we'll be able to all follow along. With all that being said, why, let's get started. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on here today. So we're going to take our check-ins like we always do, and that will be by repeater. We'll start out with the Republic machines. Anybody on either of the two Republic repeaters, with or without traffic, call now. Kilo Alpha 8 Lima, Kilo November, KA8 LKN. Good morning, Jeff. No traffic. KB8DNA. Play. Norwalk. Morning, Jeff. No traffic. Whiskey Alpha 8. Good morning, Jeff. Alpha Charlie 8. Sierra Bravo. Scott Finley. No traffic. Alpha 8. Juliet Bravo Tango. Bob and Sandusky. Good morning. Zulu 4, Charlie Whiskey, Ron in Fremont, no traffic. Mule Lima, Cal out in the country here by Tiffin. No traffic, Jeff, good morning. Hey, VCE, Jay in Fremont. No traffic, but I do have a question later. Morning, Jeff. Okay. All right, very good. Thanks. Got most everybody. Everybody sounds good, by the way. A couple other stations I didn't get the call sign just due to some doubling. So if I ask you to repeat your call sign, that makes life easier for me. Then I don't have to look it up. All right, let's get Frank first. K8LK, good morning, Frank. Great signal, rocking into the repeater, full quieting. Good morning, Clay. KB8DNA, another great signal. Good to hear you, Clay, this morning. WAGBT, good morning, Bob. Great signal from Sandusky. We'll be talking to Bob here in a little bit, especially about stations. I have Kilo Zulu for Charlie Whiskey. Ron. Ron. Question for you. Have you checked in here before? You probably did. Roger, Jeff. This is the first time. Just learned about it on internet Monday night. All right. Well, welcome to the net. We're here every Wednesday morning beginning at this time, 10:15 a.m. And we always ring the bell for a new call sign as we continue to count how many different call signs we've had checked in here since we started the network. We're getting close to 300. Let's see if Jim's on the air. He keeps track of call signs for me. And he'll ring a bell for you. And he'll tell you what number you just had to ask. KERN. Jim, if you're with us, Kilo Zulu for Charlie Whiskey sounds like a new call. This is KE8 here, and you might want to get me checked in. Anyway, KZ4CW is now number 272 on our list, and I didn't catch his name there. You'll have to get that back to me. And there, he just had his bell rung. Back to you, Jeff. KE8 here, and all right, 5 business, Jim. Well, thanks for ringing the bell for Ron this morning. Again, that's Ron. He's up here in Fremont, and he's got a nice signal this morning. Nice to have you checked in with us here, Ron. Always like to ask people, what you using for a radio and an antenna this morning? Over to you, Ron. Jeff, I'm sorry I don't remember your call to address you properly. Right now I'm running an ICOM 746 Pro. It puts out a bunch of watts on 2 meters, so it works out great. And I just have a Jetstream dual band vertical on top of a tower, so it's up about 30 feet, Jeff. And I am blessed to have inherited a few other ICOM radios. I'm sitting here looking at like 10 of them, and each week I'll probably try a different one, but I'm on the 746 Pro right now. Back to you, Jeff. KZ4CW. All right, fine business, Ron. Yeah, I thought I was the only one that had trouble with call signs and that. My problem is I don't repeat my call enough. So my call is Whiskey Baker 8, Radio Echo India, WBAREI. And fine business on the ICOM 746 Pro. Doing a fine job with your Jetstream there. Mounted on the roof, the vertical at about 30 feet. Well, you get surprised if every time you check in, you might be on a different radio. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, welcome to the net, Ron. We're glad you're here to join us here this morning. All right, well, we got a few others here being patient here. KERN, of course, Jim, I got you checked in. Thank you, Jim. Good signal. Cal, I know you're in Tiffin and you're mobile. Give me your call sign again, Cal. I missed it. Foxtrot Romeo Lima. I'm over here on 224 getting away from that 67 detour. I'm out here driving a client up to Bellevue. WBAREI, Jeff, the fine repeater operator, KD8FRL. Back to you. All right. Well, fine business, Cal. And good morning to you and your client there. Morning. Always good to hear your station there. KD8FRL Mobile, WBAREI, the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. And we have Jay up in Fremont. Jay, I got Victor Charlie Echo. Just give me your whole call sign again if you would. Call sign is Kilo 8, Victor Charlie Echo. All right, got it that time. Kilo 8, Victor Charlie Echo. Great, really good signal, Jay. You sound great into the repeater this morning. And thank you for chatting with us. Jay, you had had a question. Go ahead with your question.
System. I am president of the club in Fremont, and we have problems keeping repeater places. And I was wanting to learn about linking the way you do with all the other repeaters. Because I could put the repeater here at my house. I've got a Super J pole up about 50 feet, and I can hit all of these repeaters. I just know how and if it's okay to link into them so we can get our net back going again properly. Right now we're doing simplex on our 145.250. So that's my question. How do I go about that, and how do I get permission? That's KAPCE. Back to you.
All right. Well, that's a good question, and I don't know if I can answer that for you completely. When you say you want permission to link in, you might have to elaborate a little more in detail. I think if you just want to come in on one of the other repeaters as opposed to the one you're coming in on now, I don't believe you need any permission for that. But I might be misunderstanding what it is you want to do, because I know you mentioned your club has a net on a simplex frequency at the moment. I'm going to guess you must be wanting to hold your net on this repeater network with your club. If that's the case, and I understand your question properly, Jay, and I hope I do, shoot me an email at my email address. It's jpottiger, JPOTTEIGER @yahoo.com, and I'll send you the contact information on Pat. I think I got an email address from Pat, and he'd be the good guy to contact to get permission to hold a net on his repeater network. And somebody else might jump in here that's more believe it or not, more knowledgeable than I am about this network, because there are some things about this network, even though I use it, I'm not really up to speed on myself. So again, shoot me an email, okay?
I'll do that, Jeff. Thank you very much. You have a great day. KAPCE.
Hey, Jay. Well, you too. Thanks for checking in. You got a good signal. And it takes this old brain a little bit to figure out what it was you were getting at there, but I think I understand what you want to do there. So, yep, shoot me the email. I'll watch for it, and I'll get you some contact information. All right. We got Jim, KEADRN. Anybody else on either of the two Republic repeaters, with or without traffic, calling out?
Alpha Charlie 8, November Papa, Dan and Tippin.
Morning, Jeff. Kilo Echo 8, Papa. I'm not County. I'd be happy to be your HF lead to the OSSBN. I currently have no traffic.
Morning, Jim. Kilo Charlie 8, Papa Bravo Uniform. KC8 PBU, Dan and Bascom. I have no traffic. And boy, it's good to hear some of these rear DXs in there like Cal. KD8FRL. KC8 PBU.
KETX, good morning. I have you checked in with no traffic, and I got you down as my HF liaison, and I have outbound for California, so stand by, and I'll holler at you in just a second, Ron. KCTBU, good morning, Dan, good signal. We'll be going to Dan here a little while here on satellite passes, and maybe an update on what's happening with the weather here in the next couple days. And yeah, absolutely good to hear Cal on the radio this morning. Definitely. Good comment. All right. KE8. Go to Ron. Are there any other stations that have 4-1 and they're holding that traffic call out? I got a single California. Yeah, it's kind of slow going here this morning. Sorry about that. Number 41. Inverness, California. Inverness, 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 California. 94937. 415-990-7090. Break. Really, an IGHTF. Looking forward to, that's Tango Oscar, the crypto transmission Saturday. Very exciting X-ray. Figure group 7-3 break. Jeff, WB8REI with an op note. If no answer, leave message on answering machine. End of message. Okay, great. You got it. Confirmed. Message number 41. K8PXQSY to the OSSBN. I'll be back. Thanks, Ron. Sorry about getting it over there to you late. You're going to make it just in the nick of time, I think. Appreciate it, Ron. K8PX to the net, WB8REI, and the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Are there any other stations with formal traffic before we continue? Also, just keep in mind, if you do have traffic for the net, and we don't get it handled right here in the beginning of the net, that's not a problem. We can take it anytime. It'll just go out a little bit later into the national traffic. Kilo Delta 8 Echo Papa Charlie, KDA EPC Dustin and Medina with no traffic. This is Kilo Delta 8 Sierra Lima Golf, KD8 SLG, Nick and Orville on the full repeater, no traffic. Alright, Kilo Delta 8 Echo Charlie, Dustin, good morning Dustin, nice signal. I can hear you this morning. Kilo Delta 8 Sierra Lima Golf, good morning Nick and Orville, Nick, good to hear you also, both of you on the polk repeater by the way. Anybody else on the 443-625 polk repeater with or without traffic, call now. Kilo Echo 8, Romeo Whiskey November, time in Mid-London. Morning, Jeff. Tom, Kilo Echo 8, Romeo Whiskey November. Nice signal, Tom, from New London, coming in on the polk repeater. Sound good. Anybody else on the polk repeater? Kilo Echo 8, Delta Romeo Romeo, Troy and Willard, no traffic. Morning, Jeff. Nice signal. Anybody else on the polk repeater? And how about the Mansfield repeater? Anybody on the 443.075 repeater that would like to check into the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net? Call out. Mansfield repeater. Call now. On either of the three Berlin Heights repeaters, 146.805, 442.6005, or the 6-meter 53.29 repeaters. Call now.
This is KM8YOR, Mike. You're on Township. No traffic. November 8, Queen Yankee Jim, Lawrence Township.
Good morning, Jeff. Whiskey 8, Hotel Mobile, no traffic.
KE8 VOX, Scott, Vermilion Township, no traffic.
Whiskey Hotel 2 uniform, John, with the overrun on a handheld. Who are you?
November 8, X-Ray Lima, Quebec, Lenny, Huron City. Good morning, everybody, and YouTube's up and running.
Nice firm. Morning, Mike. KM8YOR. Nice signal, Mike, from here on this morning. Thanks for checking in with us. NAQQY. Good morning, Jim. Nice signal, Jim, from Florence Township. Sound good this morning. WW8H Mobile. Good morning, Gary. Nice signal from the mobile. Thank you for checking in. KE8 Victor Oscar X-Ray. Good morning, Scott. Good signal, Scott. Nice to hear you this morning. Good morning, John. Whiskey Hotel 2 uniform, west of Oberlin on a portable on the HT. Sounded good, John. Good signal with the portable this morning. Thanks for checking in with us. And good morning, Lenny. NAXLQ, good signal, Lenny, in Huron. And Lenny says YouTube is up, so you get a chance while I go in and listen and check your signal out. And thanks, Lenny, for doing that. Anybody else on any of the three Berlin Heights repeaters, with or without traffic, call now.
Tango, Sierra Victor. This is Jerry in Grafton. Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff. This is November 8, Papa Sierra. Rick is Parm, no traffic.
Hey, nice stations here. K8 Tango Sierra Victor. Good morning, Jerry. Nice signal, Jerry from Grafton. Thank you for checking in with us this morning. And good morning, Rick. November 8, Papa Sierra in Parma, Ohio. Nice signal, Rick. And nice to hear you this morning. Anyone else on the Illyria repeater? Anybody anywhere, anyone anywhere that would like to check into the North Central Ohio information and traffic, that call now.
Kilo Delta 8, Tango Oscar, Tom, North Ridgeville, no traffic.
Morning, Tom. Kilo Delta 8, Tango Oscar. Good signal from North Ridgeville. Thank you for checking in, Tom. Anyone else? Anybody anywhere? Call now. All right, let's get started. Again, beautiful Wednesday morning here. Later, as we get into the net here, we'll check with Dan, see what's happening with the weather. Lots of good information. So if you're listening and you're within the sound of this voice, well, you are in the right place. If you're driving, make sure that you concentrate on your driving, be safe. And if you're home, grab your coffee or whatever it is you like to drink here in the morning. And have a paper pencil ready as we get further into the net. I got some information or frequencies you might want to jot down. They'll be of interest, especially this weekend. All right, all that being said, let's get started here first with our WWD report. Starting out your solar terrestrial indices for July 18th, yesterday's date, the solar flux, 219. That's up there. The estimated planetary A index, 16. The estimated planetary K index, 1200 Universal Coordinated Time, or 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, on today's date, 19th, was 1.67. Space weather for the past 24 hours has been moderate. Solar radiation storms reaching the S2 level occurred. Now, those usually don't affect, have big effects on people that are up in the North Pole, the pole region, is where that really affects HF propagation and communicating. Radio blackouts reaching the R1 level occurred, and of course those affect us here, excuse me, on the sunlit, wherever the sunlit side of the Earth is at the moment of the solar storm. So again, they did reach an R1 level somewhere on the planet. Space weather for the next 24 hours is predicted to be minor. Solar radiation storms reaching the S1 level are expected, and radio blackouts reaching the R1 level. There's things percolating up on that sun today, there's no doubt about that. Let's take a look at the space weather report. Snow pretty strong. You'll notice some strange band conditions if in fact that happens, so keep an eye on that. Look at the solar wind, that plasma that's coming through space. Right now it's at a speed of about 422.4 kilometers per second. Average, I try to keep an average, it's right around 350 to 375 kilometers per second. So the wind speed's up a little bit. And looking at the solar flares for the last 24 hours, we did experience a small M-class flare, which was just a little bit before 8 o'clock this morning, about 10 minutes before 8. So yeah, it was wrong time, 10 minutes before 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this morning. Was about an M1 to an M2 class solar flare. And just a little bit, about an hour before when Jim was listening, and we'll be talking to Jim to see how he heard some of the DX beacons this morning. So let's take a look at the number of sunspots on the sun. Right now, 142 sunspots. That is the sunspot number. So again, lots of things happening up there on the sun here in the last 24 hours. So be aware of that. It really affects our HF radio communication. Let's take a look at our ionogram. This ionogram is generated from the ionoson in Alpena, Michigan. It's kind of the closest one to us. So we take what we see with a little bit of a grain of salt because it's about 250 miles from us. But a lot of times it follows fairly closely. So let's take a look at that ionogram. Right now, it's showing a critical frequency on the F2 layer of 6.825 megahertz. Can't see the F1 layer here this morning, although I'm sure there's one there. It doesn't show up on this ionogram. And it has a critical frequency zone, and it is 3.38 megahertz. But right now, the density or the height of the ionosphere of the F2 layer, it's not that high right now. It's only about 180 kilometers high. A lot of times it's up there to 250 to 300 kilometers, so it's not quite that high this morning. The echoes are not very well defined. I noticed the sun is already built up, causes lots of absorption in the 75, 80, and 40 meter bands at this time of the morning. Here's the important frequency for right now, and that is the MUF, the maximum usable frequency, 8.6 megahertz. Well, for us right now, 15 meters would probably not be the band that you would want to operate. It's not really open yet, but 20 meters would be good. would 17 meters, so 20 and 17 on the high HF bands. Those would be your bands of choice for your maximum distance. Out to one hop, you're looking at about the west coast, about 1,800 miles. Now keep in mind, the muff right now is 20.6 megahertz, but we're going to check with Jim here in just a second to see what he experienced on his HF radio station. He's kind of our reference station. And so when Jim was listening this morning, and let's see, that would have been at 8 o'clock. Let me make sure we get the right one here. Bring up the one for the ionogram here for 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here this morning. Once I get there, we can look at what Jim may have been experiencing. Here we go. So this morning, the maximum usable frequency was actually higher. It was 22.8 megahertz. Jim had them operated at 8 o'clock this morning with that type of a muff, 22.8 megahertz. On the high HF band, he may be hearing beacons of 20 meters, 17 meters, 15 meters. Probably nothing on 12, probably nothing on 10. Again, there was an M1 class solar flare about an hour and 10 minutes before Jim was listening. So it may or may not have had some kind of effect on his noise floor level on 80 and 40 meters. So we'll ask Jim what his noise floor level was, and we keep track of that, by the way, so we can compare what it is today as to what it was a week ago. That being said, let's see if Jim's got a report for us this morning. KERN, WB8REI. So tell us, Jim, what beacons did you get to hear this morning, on which band, and what your noise floor was like about 80 and 40 this morning at 8 o'clock?
This is KERN, and on 20 meters, I had 6 beacons, and the greatest of those was New York, Inuvik, and Hawaii. And the rest of them were kind of weak. Now on the higher bands here, 17 I had 1 station very weak. 15 I had 3 very weak stations. Then you go over to the 40 meter band, it was quiet, the whole band. I couldn't believe it. 80 meters, S5 throughout the whole band. Back to you, 88 year end.
Very good. So, just looking at the beacons that you did here, 20, 17, and 15 meters, with of course 15 meters being the highest frequency at between 21 and 21.45 megahertz. That jives with our muff, the maximum usable frequency at 8 o'clock this morning was 22.8 megahertz. And of course, Jim didn't hear anything above the 15 meter band or above the 21.45 megahertz frequency. So that lines up. That's good. It kind of builds a little bit of confidence in what we're talking about here. Now, with regard to Jim's noise levels, on 40 meters last week, Jim had an S3 noise level across the whole band on 40 meters. Now, he didn't give us an S meter reading this morning. He just said it was quiet. Do you know what your S meter reading was on 40 this morning, Jim?
There was nothing on the S meter. Back to you.
People call it S0. S0 had no noise floor that was measurable anyway on his S meter on his HF radio on 40 meters. Now on 80 meters, he had an S5 noise floor. Last week, his noise floor was S3. And again, that was across the 75 and 80 meter band. Again, the only thing that is interesting to note was the solar flare, which was about an M1 class flare at about minutes before Jim was listening on those bands. Now, last week, I don't think he had any flare to speak of at any time around his listening time. So that difference in 2S units, which, by the way, that on a calibrated radio, that's 12 dB. That's a big difference. Could be, maybe, due to the earlier solar flare this morning. Just something interesting to note. Stick it in your cap. Again, we're learning as we go. You got any comments, queries, anything about the propagation reports from Jim or our Ionosan this morning? Let's check here. Are there any other stations with or without traffic or any returning stations who would like to check in, call now?
Kilo Charlie 8 Whiskey Hotel. No traffic. Morning, Jeff.
Kilo Echo 8 Papa X-ray returning at 1. Bringing no traffic back. All right, TCWH, good morning, Mike. Good signal, Mike. Nice to hear you this morning. K8PX, Ron, I got you back. Past 1. Thanks, Ron. I really appreciate you getting that over there. Good job. Really good job this morning getting that passed. And Ron has no inbound traffic. We don't have anything coming into the net this morning. All right, before we continue, anybody else, with or without traffic, or anyone else that would like a signal report, call now. All right, let's zoom through our tropospheric ducting map here this morning, see what's happening with tropospheric ducting. Mainly, you guys have got 2-meter simplex stations, especially high-profile ones, or even if you just got an HT and you happen to be curious as to whether or not we might get band conditions that are favorable to tropospheric ducting, which would allow you to work, quite a distance with that type of propagation. That's what this report's about. So let's start out here first. And we're looking here on today's date, July the 19th at 2100 UTC, which would be about, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pretty much across most of the state, we're marginal to fair conditions. Again, over Lake Erie, you're looking at moderate to high. Bumping that along, another later this evening, about 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. All over Lake Erie, you're looking at strong conditions. Pretty much fair to marginal conditions through most of the state until you get into southern Ohio, along the Ohio River, where conditions are high. Looking back towards the west in Indiana, especially the northern part, right on into Illinois, you're looking at strong to very strong conditions for tropospheric ducting. We bump that along up to 2 a.m. Thursday morning. Again, over the lake, strong to very strong. Northwest Ohio, you got strong conditions into northeastern Indiana. Rest of the state's pretty much in the fair to marginal conditions until you get down along the Ohio River. Again, down along the river, about moderate conditions. See, we're bumping the map way up here. I'm waiting till I see something that starts to look formidable here. And so all the way until we get to Sunday, July the 23rd at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're looking at strong to very strong conditions over Lake Erie, the whole length of Lake Erie. And some smaller patches in west central Ohio into Indiana that reach the high to strong level, and the rest of the state marginal conditions. Again, that's 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday, July 23rd. Moving on into Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday night, when we're all doing our nets, right? All along the southern coast of Lake Erie, all the way into New York and the southern coast of Lake Ontario, you're looking at a narrow path of strong to very strong conditions. And then in west central Ohio, you're looking at high to moderate conditions reaching up into northeastern Indiana. The rest of the state's pretty marginal. Going into again, Sunday night, 8 p.m., or excuse me, Monday morning at 8 a.m., we'll get it right here. Again, over Lake Erie, you're looking at really strong to very strong conditions. Right in north central, or excuse me, into central, east central Ohio, you got a small patch here of moderate to high conditions. And that's pretty much it. Again, if you're somebody that operates 2-meter simplex, well, let us know if you work any what you think might be tropospheric ducting. We can look at some archived tropospheric ducting maps just to see how what you might have experienced lines up with what the data shows. So again, if you think you work some tropospheric ducting QSOs, let us know. And don't be afraid to call CQ. Sometimes, well, quite often, band could be open. And if nobody's calling, that might not be everybody just sitting there listening. All right, let's ID again. This is WBREI. This is the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Further stations, with or without traffic, call now. All right, let's take a look at the International Space Station. Amateur radio on the International Space Station, by the way. Something new coming up. They finally updated some information here. And so, with regard to crossband FM repeater, if you haven't worked it yet, or at least listened to it, give it a shot. You just do it with your little Bofang handheld. Doesn't take much just to hear it. Again, if you want to transmit through the crossband FM repeater, you transmit on 145.99 with a PL point of 67. And your receive is 437.800 megahertz. Now, what's kind of interesting is going to be fun, actually. A week from today, July the 26th, they're going to do a special slow scan TV experiment. So if you remember, as many were aware, there was a hardware failure on the older slow scan TV system operating from the Russian segment of the International Space Station. However, a replacement and upgraded system is currently going through ground verification and certification. And this is the intended delivery and installation on the ISS of that new system is during the summer of 2023, which is right where we're at. Going to do a special slow scan TV experiment. I'm guessing they're probably wanting to test out some of that gear. So, you might want to take a listen next Wednesday. We'll remind everybody again because it's Wednesday afternoon. Copied any of the slow scan TV images from the International Space Station. You got to give it a try. It's easy to do. It's a lot of fun. You can record it and play it back through your decoding software at a later time or date if you so choose. And so the frequency that you want to dial up on your radio for the SST experiment is 145.800. Slow scan TV software should be selecting PD, that's Papa Delta 120 to decode. Do ask that you leave a clear uplink frequency. That would be a 144.49. So you don't want to be transmitting. And I'll give you the times here in just a moment. You're ready to write for the slow scan TV experiment. The transmissions will actually begin at 4:05 Eastern Standard Time, and they will end at 4:20 Eastern Standard Time. Now, I've already looked on the path, and there is a path right in that time frame, and I'll give that to you here in just a minute. And so this will straddle that ISS path. Again, they'll begin transmitting at 4:05 Eastern Standard Time, the slow scan TV experimental image, and then they'll end it at 4:20. Now, if necessary, they have a backup window, and that will be at 5:40 Eastern Standard Time, and that will run until 5:55 request a clear uplink during this time frame. Check out your ISS pass software to see when the pass will be in our area for Wednesday, July 26th. I've already checked out the first pass, the most likely one, and the pass begins in our area at 4:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it ends at 4:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, July 26th. It will last 6 minutes. The satellite will reach its highest, it'll be up at 31 degrees at its highest point in the sky. It will pop out in the south-southwest at 4:08 p.m. and it will disappear in the east-northeast at 4:14 p.m. So again, have your radio ready to record and decode the special SSTV experiment. Now, I don't know how many images are going to transmit or what they will even be about, but I wanted to bring it to your attention for those that like to experiment, check things out like that. Now, they will be powering off for Russian extravehicular activity on August the 9th. We got a little while till then. They have yet not determined the time that they'll be shutting it off and turning it back on, so until we get closer to that time, we may then have those actual times for you. Also, the packet station, which is in the service module on 145.825 simplex, and they will also be shutting down for the Russian EVA on August the 9th. Again, the time is yet to be determined. There are no school contacts as far as what we would be able to hear on the radio. There is one in Virginia that's going to be coming up here in a few days, I think on Friday maybe. You can check it out if you're interested. And if you want to go online and stream the video and the audio, you can do that. But you will not hear a direct radio link from the ISS. That will be a telebridge connection. This is WDREI. This is the North Central Ohio Information Traffic Net. Don't forget to grab your paper and pencil and your Yaesu FT991A schematic. We're specifically going to be looking at the HF power amp unit here this morning. We'll just identify some components there. You're welcome to jump in and identify a resistor or a transistor or something and get a point towards the lotto ticket. And just kind of brush up again on how to look at a schematic and identify some of the components. If you're a CW operator, and even if you're not a CW operator, I'll tell you something else you can do. I got something I'm going to bring up here later in the net. It's going to be really exciting this weekend, and I'll give you all the details on that as we go along. All right, before we get to before we go to Dan, because Dan's going to have some weather info for us, and maybe some satellite passes. Are there any other stations that would like to check in? Call it out.
Good question, Jeff, and AQQI.
AQQI. Well, you said something there, Jim. I just didn't catch it.
I got a question. I got a homebrew Yagi, 4-element Yagi for 2 meters. Mounts on a camera tripod. Which polarity would be best for the space station, vertical or horizontal?
Good question. Jim's got a 4-element 2-meter Yagi on a tripod. And he's questioning which polarity would be best, vertical or horizontal. And so the answer to that is both. And so it's changing polarity as it's coming back this way. And so you want to be able to rotate your Yagi antenna. And there's a couple different ways to do that. You just listen to the signal coming back down, and you want to move it so the signal quiets. So it gets quieter in your receiver and not noisy. So you got to be prepared to be able to move that antenna, rotate it, so that the UHF and VHF elements at times are vertical or horizontal or somewhere in between. So that's the key on that, Jim. If you just point it steady, overhead. And as the polarity is changing, you're going to get a noisy signal. So you want to be able to react to the changes in polarity by physically rotating your Yagi. I hope that helped.
Yeah, I can do it, rotate it either up or down or round about anyway. That's not a whole lot. I figure on using my 857 so I can pump a little wattage through that Yagi.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. If you want to work through the crossband FM repeater, or if you're trying to call one of the astronauts on their frequency, well, yeah, the Yagi is going to make a big difference. It's going to give you that extra gain for sure. And yeah, experiment with it. You'll get the hang of it. Yeah, being able to adjust the elevation of the antenna, moving it up and down as it passes overhead, and at the same time rotating it so that the polarity changes and gives you the strongest signal. If you've never seen it done before, and you probably have, but if not, you can check out YouTube videos, talk to other people that have done it. Just experiment, man. You get the hang of it. Some people I've worked with are really good at it, at keeping that antenna pointed in the right elevation and the right polarity to get the best signal. Anyway, good luck on that, Jim, and I think that's really, really cool. You have to keep us posted on how you do with it.
We'll do that. And also, you email me the information on that slow scan TV. I'll give that a shot too. See if do I need any special program in my laptop? And if I do, where can I get it?
Do that, Jim. I will email you the information on the slow scan TV, and it's an experimental test. I'll email you the times and the date and all that, and the type of software that you can load into your computer. Lots of it's free. There's various slow scan TV decoding apps that are available for different computers or iPhones or iPads, all those things. So we'll do that, Jim. I'll shoot you the info. Just watch for it. Are you just running it on a micro PC, or you got an iPhone, or what are you going to use to decode it?
HP laptop.
All right. I just wanted some idea what kind of operating system. Okay, very good. Well, watch for the email. I'll shoot it to you later this afternoon. And good luck on that. That's so cool, man. We'll look forward to hearing back from you. Good or bad. That's the fun of it. Sometimes it's super successful, and sometimes you just don't have any luck, but you kind of learn. You learn as you go. And so we'll wish you luck there on any your decoding SFTV images, or even trying to contact one of the astronauts. That'd be awesome. All right, NAQQI and that WBAREI, and the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Anybody else before we continue?
Kilo Bravo 8 Lima Kilo Hotel and Mobile Perkins Township, no traffic. Good morning, Joe.
Morning, Dan. Kilo Bravo 8 Lima Kilo Hotel Mobile. Got you checked in, Dan. You got a good strong signal into the repeater. Your audio's a little bit mushy or distorted. So it maybe you got a window down, or you might be hollering at the microphone pretty heavy duty. I'm guilty of that quite often. But just want to give you a real signal report. 100% copy though, no problem there. And thanks for checking in, Dan. Anybody else? Well, let's go over to Dan, because I know he's been waiting patiently here, and see what Dan's got for us with the weather and some ISS and Tyon God passes. PD, I'm going to turn it over to you, Dan.
Well, good morning, Jim. Good morning to everybody else in the net. Yep, I got all that. Let's get right into the weather. Today, sunny, high of 83. There goes my no weather issue. Stand by. No, like didn't train my dog to bark when the no weather radio goes off. It just kind of happens automatically. What a nice dog, huh? Okay, today, high of 83, sunny. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 64. Thursday, thunderstorms likely, high of 83. Thursday night, showers likely, then a chance of thunderstorms, low of 64. And I've got a little bit more from the National Weather Service on Thursday. They placed our whole area in a slight risk yesterday. The Storm Prediction Center did for day 3, which is kind of out there for that stuff to be happening. So that's just a little concerning. So here's what they're saying today. Strong severe storms possible Thursday afternoon and evening. The primary threat is damaging wind gusts with large hail possible in any severe thunderstorm that develops. Rotating storms capable of producing a tornado cannot be ruled out. Thunderstorms will be capable of producing heavy rainfall with localized flooding. So, my best advice for everybody is keep tabs on the weather. Make sure you got at least a couple different ways to receive warnings from the National Weather Service. And, you may want to watch the news, your local news tonight and hear what the meteorologists are saying. And, it sounds like even before this hits tomorrow, we can all catch the noon news tomorrow and get the latest greatest from what's going on there. On the forecast here, Friday, partly sunny, a high of 78. Friday night, partly cloudy, low of 61. Saturday, sunny, high 81. Saturday night, mostly clear, low 60. Sunday, sunny, high of 83. So actually, except for Thursday, we got a pretty nice forecast there, and it looks like things are going to behave pretty well. Okay, on over to some space station passes. There's my buddy's home pass from CSX. I got all kinds of sound effects with this thing. Okay, first one's at ISS, Wednesday, July 19th. That's today. At 9:48 p.m. it enters, 9:52 p.m. it exits. Enters from the northwest, exits out the northeast. Maximum elevation 15 degrees. And this is kind of neat here, Jeff. I haven't seen one of these. I don't remember it. We've got a magnitude of 0.0. And kind of interesting one there. Okay, pass number 2. And that's the tie-in gong. Saturday, July 2-2. Enters at 5:27 a.m. Exits at 5:33 a.m. From the southwest, exits out the east. Maximum elevation, 33 degrees. And a magnitude, you know what? I think this may be I was reading this wrong. A magnitude of 1.8. What threw me off was it wasn't a negative, but the tie-in gongs are positive, and positive magnitudes are dimmer than negative magnitudes. Okay, on with pass number 3. It's the ISS. Same day, July 22nd, Saturday. Enters at 10:37. Exits at 10:42. Enters from the northwest. Exits out the northeast. Maximum elevation, 17 degrees. With a magnitude of a negative 0.8. And the fourth and final pass. ISS again. And this is Sunday, July 23rd. Enters at 11:25 p.m. Exits at 11:29 p.m. Enters from the northwest. Exits out the northeast. degrees with a magnitude of a negative 2.1. So, all kinds of good weather stuff going on there. Everybody be careful about tomorrow in case that stuff really develops. And hope everybody gets an opportunity to go out and see some nice passes from our space stations. Back to you, Jeff. Thank you. KC8PBU.
All right, thank you, Dan. I've got them all jotted down. Looking forward to, haven't seen a Tyon Gong pass in a while. And some nice ISS passes there, too. Nice thing to do during this time of the year. Go out and check out, if you haven't yet, some of the passes of the International Space Station. And bring your radio with you, your HT even, and listen to the crossband FM repeater. Or you might even try working somebody through it. Good stuff, Dan. Thanks for the heads up on the weather. You guys are Skywarn spotters and that sort of thing. Well, pay attention to your local repeaters there in case you have a Skywarn activation, possibly Tuesday. We'll have to wait and see. And everyone will be prepared. All right. Thanks again, Dan, for all the info. This is WB8REI. This is the North Central Ohio Information Traffic Net. Anyone else that would like to check in, call now.
KE8 and NW, Jeff, Middleburg Heights, no traffic.
Morning, Jeff, in Middleburg Heights. Kilo Echo 8, November Whiskey. Good to hear you this morning, Jeff. Nice signal, by the way. So I just got to ask, have you checked in before?
Negative. I kind of discovered this net last week, and I really like the information you're putting out, so I'm trying to attend it weekly because I really do enjoy this kind of information.
Oh, well, it's nice to have folks like yourself here checked in here this morning. We ring a bell for anybody that's new, and we keep track of the new call signs here. We're working our way up to 300 different call signs. I'm going to turn the radio over to Jim, KE8ERN. He's going to ring the bell for you. He's going to tell you which number of different call signs you are that have checked in here since we started the net about 5.5 years ago. So stand by. KE8ERN, I'm going to turn it over to you, WB8REI.
Jeff, I want to verify his call sign. KE8 and NW is in our log at number 136. Get back to me here and let me know if I got the right call sign.
Okay, I think you do. Let me just double check here. I know a lot of times people, if you don't check in for a while, a lot of people don't remember if they've ever checked in before. Kilo Echo 8, November Whiskey. So I got your call sign correct, Jeff?
Roger that, and I may have checked in ages ago. You know, I kind of wax and wane with ham radio, so it is possible I checked in with you guys. So I'm kind of glad I rechecked with you.
We are too, Jeff. And we got it straight. I got Jim, KE8ERN. I call him my statistician. He keeps track of everybody that checks in. And, I get lots of people that'll check in. They don't remember if they checked in before or not over the last, we've been doing this for 5.5 years. So it's quite possible people check in and they just don't, like you say, heck, you don't remember sometimes. So that's why I got Jim. He keeps track. All right, very good. Well, again, good to have you here this morning. Great signals from Middleburg Heights, Jeff. And always welcome to the net. KE8NNW. Thanks again. Anybody else before we continue?
This is for both Joes. The date that he checked in was 10/14 of 2020. Back to you, KE8ERN.
All right, Jim, thanks for the information. He's clear back coming up, 2.5 years ago anyway. Yeah, it's been a while. Heck, I can't remember what I did 2.5 days ago, let alone 2.5 years ago. All right. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that. You do a good job keeping things straight here. Help me out a lot. All right. Before we go to Bob here, anybody else that would like to check in, call now. WAAGBC5, what you got for us? Any good special event stations? What's happened with PE test sessions and possible ham fest? Over to you, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, and good morning to everybody on the net. Yeah, a lot of things going on this weekend. Got another Hamfest coming up. This one a little farther away. Ashtabula County Hamfest is on Saturday, July 22nd, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pioneer Picnic Grounds at 1809 Middle Road in Pierpont, Ohio. And they're offering free admission, free vendor swap setup. You have to bring your own table, but they are offering a free breakfast for vendors if you want to set up there. They do have door prizes, 50-50 raffle, and they will have on-site testing. Walk-ins allowed, and the testing will be from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And if you want to check on that, if you want to pre-register, you can call 440-645-2641. We have a talk-in in 146.895 with a PL of 141.3. I did want to make a comment on some of the Hamfest. Some are kind of small in the summer. Went to both of them last weekend, and Norris was a little smaller attendance than in the past. I'm not sure why. One thing, they had the entire parking lot torn up, and it was like a destruction zone. And then Van Wert was up a little bit this year, because last year they got rained out. But a lot of times it's worthwhile going to the small ones. At the Norris Fest, I won a $100 gift certificate to DX Engineering, and at the Van Wert Fest, I found a couple of pieces of equipment, a couple tuners, and a power meter at a real bargain price. And so it was worth going to even the small ham fest. You never know what you're going to find. One other thing that's coming up this weekend, it's not a ham fest, but I saw it and I didn't mention it. July 21st and 22nd, the West Virginia Museum of Radio Technology is going to hold their annual summer heat swap meet and auction at the museum in Huntington. If you haven't visited, this is the outstanding museum. If you haven't visited this outstanding museum, this is another excellent opportunity to visit one of the nation's leading museums dedicated to radio and electronics. And you can check out their website at mrtwv.org for more info. And there are a lot of YouTube videos that show the museum. What they do is they sell and auction off surplus equipment that's been donated. This is mostly old radio equipment and antique radios, stuff like that. So if you have any interest in that, it'd probably be interesting to make the trip down there. WAJBT for ID. As far as special events, we've got one starting July 20th, the Apollo 11, 54 years ago. They're operating 1330 Zulu to 1900 Zulu, and the call is K2CAM from Garden City, New York, and they'll be operating sideband and FT8. The only frequency they're showing is 20 meters, but you might find them on other bands. The next event, it's the Viking Ragbri 50, July 22nd and July 30th, and that's 1200 Zulu to 2200 Zulu, W0R from Durham, North Carolina, and they'll be operating on 20, 15, and 17 meters. Launch of the nuclear ship Savannah will be July 22nd, and they're operating 1300 Zulu to 2100 Zulu, and their call is K3S from Baltimore, Maryland, and they'll be operating 40, 20, 15, and 10 meters, and sideband CW. Don't mention FTA, but the other modes. Also, Johnson County here, July 23rd to July 26th, and they're operating 1500 Zulu to 2100 Zulu. Call letter W0JV from Iowa City, Iowa. Another one, the EAA AirVenture 2023. It's the W9ZL Special Event Station, and they're operating July 24th to July 30th. That's in conjunction with the Oshkosh fly-in. And their hours of operation, they list 1300 Zulu to 1700 Zulu. Of course, the call letter is W9ZL from Appleton, Wisconsin. And they'll be operating 20, 40, and 6 meters, apparently. I did work that one last year. Actually, I worked another special event that was operating from the AirVenture of the Warbirds. I think they were a separate, I didn't find them listed this year, but I worked them and got a card from that special event station last year. And one other county fair that's operating a special event is Orleans County 4-H Fair, and they're operating July 24th to July 30th, 1600 Zulu to 0200 Zulu. Call letter is W4H from Albion, New York, and they're operating on 20 meters and 40 meters, and it looks like they're operating phone and FT8. As always, any information, details of the special event stations you can find at arrl.org. Click the On the Air tab and go down to the listing of special event stations. And also QRZ, if you check the call sign, especially if they have a special call sign, they usually have an extensive detail on their QRZ listing. And then as far as testing this weekend, 2 test stations besides the Hamfest in Ashtabula, 2 other test stations on July 22nd, Saturday, 10 a.m. is Bryan, Ohio. They do allow walk-ins. The contact is Benjamin Murray, and his number is 419-630-3547, and it's at the People Works Community Building, 3440 County Road 9 in Bryan, Ohio. And one in the Columbus area, Westerville, Ohio, again on Saturday. They are at 10 a.m. They do require you to register ahead, and the contact there is Frank Piper. His number is 614-589-4641. And they're located at the Westerville Fire Department, room 111 classroom. And it's at 400 West Main Street in Westerville, Ohio. And as I mentioned, the Ashtabula Hamfest has testing too. There's also still about 24 different groups that offer online exams, and they're listed at arrl.org website under licensing, education, and training, or you can check at hamstudy.org, and they have a way to search for all in-person and online testing. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Jeff, WAJBT.
Hey, Bob, all kinds of good information there. Well, I really like the way the Ashtabula guys, they cover all the bases with phone numbers, repeater frequencies, PL tones, times. A lot of times they give you almost all the information, and sometimes there's something you question, but the Ashtabula guys really covered it well for the Hamfest there for Saturday the 22nd. Anybody got any questions for Bob on anything that he covered? Anything repeated, or have any comments or questions? Call now. you see a lot of the county fairs doing their special events, which is really cool. Bob mentioned one in the state of Iowa, and there was another one he covered there too. And they're really fun to do. We try to do one here in Seneca County every year too. And matter of fact, we got our fair coming up here that last weekend, last week in July. And we didn't get anything out into the QST magazine this year, but we may be on the air. And if so, you can listen for us. You might catch us here on HF, even though we're all physically close together. Listen for those fairs. They're a lot of fun to work, and they always appreciate the contact. Bob, thank you very much for all the info. Before we continue, are there any other stations with or without traffic call out? Here we go. We'll move along quickly here. Let's take a look at the Ohio Section Swap Shop. We'll get a new listing for July the 16th. E-cars. They're selling a Kenwood TS 590 with the matching speaker. Again, a Kenwood TS 590 with a matching speaker. And P-Cars is asking $950 for that radio. If you're interested, you can contact Jim, Alpha Charlie 8 November Tango. And his email is his call sign, Alpha Charlie 8 November Tango, at the letter J, the number 3, solutions.com. And we got time here. Let me zip off a couple other ones because there's some nice stuff up there. Another gentleman, Ken, WAKWH in Delaware, Ohio. He's got, or may still have, after the Mansfield Trunk Fest, he might have gotten rid of a lot of it. But if not, he's got an ALF 600 Ameritron solid state amp for $1,100. He's got an Ameritron AL80B 3-500C amp, $1,300. Zygu XP-125 100-watt QRP amp with the tuner, $375. And an LDG AT600 Pro 2, that's an auto tuner, $100. Last but not least, a Flex Maestro B complete set with case, $1,400. Assuming you still got any of those items, if you're interested or you want to know, contact Ken, WAKWH, at his email address. That's his call sign, W8KWH at yahoo.com. ID here. This is WB8REI. Will ID right along with the repeater here. And I like to mention stuff about shortwave receiving. I enjoy shortwave listening. I think a number of you do too. Gentleman's got a Grundig Satellite 750 shortwave radio. It's a nice one. And it's got the BFO with a whole bunch of other nice controls, including, by the way, bass and treble controls. It's got an S meter. Has an external antenna connector. It includes AC supply, batteries, and the manual. He was asking $325. He's now asking $275. Again, it's a Grundig Satellite 750 wave radio. If you're interested, contact Tom at 440-320-5523. And real quick here, Steve's got two Walks-On KG UV8DE handheld radios. They're in great working condition. They come with the desk chargers. He's asking $140 for both of them. PayPal or money orders accepted. If you're interested, contact Steve at Kilo 8 Sierra Alpha Sierra, the number 73 at gmail.com. But not least, we mentioned Eric here before. I'm going to mention him again because he's looking for something, and he's looking for an Optoelectronics 8010 frequency counter. He's looking for the user manual or a schematic. Again, that's for an Optoelectronics 8010 frequency counter. If you can help him out, 8 Echo Papa Romeo at his call sign, KD8 at yahoo.com.
giveaway or your club's doing a fundraiser, why, check out the Ohio Section Swap Shop. All the information and ways that you can get your information up there are all given at that link. Just Google Ohio Section Swap Shop and you'll find that info. And then some of the information here in the Ohio Section News. Before we do, are there any other stations that would like to check in? Or anybody else that would like a signal report? Call now.
November 8th, Foxtrot Mike Juliet. Good morning.
Tom, Kilo Echo 8, Victor, Juliet, Victor. Great signal, Tom. You're always strong signal into the repeater. And I had you checked it. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else before we continue?
November 8th, Foxtrot Mike Juliet. John in St. Louis.
Tom, November 8th, Foxtrot, Mike, Juliet. Good to hear you this morning, Tom. Thanks for taking a minute to squeeze in here. Good signal when you're there. I can tell you you're probably on a portable, just a little bit. You can just hear it just kind of fading in and out a little bit. But 100% copy, not a problem. Just want to give you a signal report. Good to hear you this morning. Anybody else?
KEADRN.
KEADRN, Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to pass on some information I have. Craig, WJ8Y, messaged us yesterday, and he is gained 30 pounds and might be in Tiffin tomorrow. So back to you then. KEADRN.
Wow, good information. All right. For anybody that's listening here, WJ8Y, Greg Flecker, a good friend and ham radio operator from around our area for many, many years. Great CW operator, by the way. And yeah, so Greg had some health problems there. He's been out of commission for, well, geez, since just before the Dayton Ham Fest. Matter of fact, I think he was planning on making that. He came down ill, so had to miss it. But it sounds like he's getting back on his feet pretty good. And really gained 30 pounds. Wow. And he'll be maybe in Tiffin tomorrow. I'll have to watch for him, listen for him on the radio. Haven't had a chance to talk to him in quite some time. So good news. Jim, thanks for passing that along. Anyone else? Check-ins or any other comments or queries? Call now. All right. Well, I mentioned this before, but I'm going to mention just one more time here. And this has to do with the Pan Ohio Hope Ride. They're probably still looking for assistance because it's still in the Ohio Section News. And so currently they're looking for additional volunteers for the 2023 Pan Ohio Hope Ride. It's a charitable bicycle ride that supports the American Cancer Society. It is a 4-day ride, and it spans the state. It goes from Cleveland to Cincinnati, with overnight stays along the way at Worcester, Westerville, and Dayton. Now, this thing begins tomorrow, Thursday, July 20th, and it runs until Sunday, July the 23rd. If you're interested in volunteering for the event, or you got any questions about the event, contact Matt Mickelson. His call is Kilo Charlie 8 November Zulu Juliet. You can email him at Kilo Charlie 8 November Zulu Juliet at Outlook.com. And of course, it would be last minute now, but I like to put the word out there. I'm sure they could, if somebody's out there listening that might have some free time, they want to, or plan on operating in those parts of Ohio, maybe they would enjoy that. If you want to know more about it real easily, just go up to the latest edition of the Ohio Section News. On page 16, they break it down on everything that they're going to do during the Pan Hope Bicycle Ride. Again, that starts tomorrow, Thursday, July 20th, and runs until Sunday, July the 23rd. Always like to look and see what Bob, Alpha Juliet 8 Bravo, has
in the world of DX. He's always got good information. He's got little hints in there that I think are excellent. Or, in this case today, some information on some terminology. So Bob says the DX word of the week is band slots. I've not heard of that before, band slots. So DXers are heard to use this term frequently, and it certainly is helpful to know what they're referring to. So the term band slot is used to indicate how frequently a hand has confirmed a particular entity. Not how many times they've worked an entity, but on how many bands. So Bill gives an example. For instance, you might talk to Romania, a Yankee Oscar, once on 20 meters. That would be one band slot for Yankee Oscar. However, over time, you may also work Romania on 10, 15, 17, and 40 meters. So that would be 4 new band slots for Romania for a total of 5. So this is an example he's giving you. Bill says many hands use a chart or their logging program to indicate whether they need a particular entity on a particular band. In this case, the next time Romania is on 12 or 80 meters, Bill will get notified that Romania is available on that band. So totaling up all the band slots gives an indication of how much DX has been worked. Give you some rough numbers here. Bill says that 1,500 to 2,000 band slots is typical, while 3,000 or more is very rare air indeed. So if you want to keep up what's happening with DX, check out Bill's article. He's always puts something out good. This latest edition on the Ohio Section News begins on page 22. WBAREI. This is the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net, just continuing. Lots of DX stuff here this morning. So in this all from the Ohio Section News, the Intrepid DX Group has issued their second press release regarding the H40 Whiskey Alpha, and I hope I say this right, Timoti Province the Expedition. Timotu, I'll say it right. Timoto Province the Expedition. So we're pleased to announce that all our plans to activate H40 Timoto Province doing well. Due to changes in flight schedules, we're announcing our optional dates will be from October 26th, and we will complete our operations on November the 9th. We've assembled a team of 8 operators to make a 15-day activation of this entity. Timo 2 Province, and I hope I'm saying it right. I know I'll learn something. I'll have to look that up. Is number 45 on Club Log's most wanted DXCC list. Team members, and there's a whole list of them here. I'm not going to rattle them all off. They're going to make a significant effort on the low band. And so during this activation, they're going to use 1,500 watts on the 80 and 160 meter bands using CW sideband and FT8 Foxhound modes. So if you want to work that expedition on 80 and 160, you have a pretty good shot. They plan to be active during the CQ Worldwide Single Sideband Contest on October 28th through the 29th. As you can imagine, shipping all of our gear, generators, etc. to Timo 2 Province is quite costly. The H40WA team appreciates all sponsors and donors who wish to support our mission. Donations can be made, and more information can be found on the Intrepid DX Group's website at https://intrepid-dx.com-. Excuse me, not hyphen, /. All right. WB8REI, the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Just want to touch a little bit here on the World Radio Sport Team Championship. This is one I don't know much about, but this is kind of beginning to catch my interest here. It seems like it's really gaining notoriety, that sort of thing. And so it's the World Radio Sport Team Championship, otherwise known as WRTC, and they call it 2022. Since they missed it in 2022, they did it here in 2023. Took place July 8th and 9th in Bologna, Italy. Brought together 58 two-person teams, 58 referees, and many volunteers and visitors to operate a contest within a contest during the International Amateur Radio Union's HF World Championship. The call sign blocks were unique and never before used. Score reports have been posted on the WRTC 2022 website. According to the metrics on the website, there were 242,297 QSOs, 10,592 hunters, and that was from 159 countries. I-44 Whiskey with Uniform Whiskey 7, LL, and Victor Echo 3 Delta Zulu. Those guys captured the top spot with a claimed score of 7.5 million points. Closing ceremony was held and included awards, several presentations, and an announcement that the United Kingdom would host the 2026 event. If you want to know more about the World Radio Team Championship, check out their website at www.wrtc2022.it for more information. What it really is, it's like the Olympics of amateur radio. So if you don't know anything about it, and I don't know much about it, check out their website. Start to learn a little about it because it really is. It's really gaining notoriety, like I say, in the amateur radio world, and it's just something worth checking into for sure. Again, that's the World Radio Sport Team Championship. This is WPREI and the North Central Ohio Information Traffic Net. All right, I wanted to talk just a minute about something we talked about last week. Talked about a special event that took place last week, and that had to do with an event called the Night of Nights, commemorating the end of commercial CW, or what was to be the end of commercial CW here in the United States. The Maritime Radio Historical Society, they put a lot of hard work into revitalizing the big CW stations out on the West Coast. They used to line the whole West Coast with these big ship-to-shore stations. Commercial, by the way. And what's really, really neat is they still operate as a commercial do a lot of really neat stuff. They got a museum out there and all that kind of stuff. If you're ever out on the West Coast, you might want to check out that. Again, you can go to their website, the Maritime Radio Historical Society's website. They got all the information and history there. It's super cool, and they do a lot of neat special events. The last one, which would have been, back on the 12th, I think, of July, was, and the 13th, was a special event where they transmitted from the original KPH CW commercial station to celebrate the 24 years since the last commercial CW transmission. And I copied. I don't know if any of you got a chance to do it. We gave the frequencies out last week, and hopefully y'all got a chance to maybe find them. To see here, the frequency think it was 17.0168 megahertz. And what was handy was I had the whole list of frequencies that I rattled off. I just looked at the latest muff from the Ionoson and picked the right one I wanted right off the bat. And first hop out to the West Coast using the maximum usable frequency gave me the best choice. So I got to actually use something that we talk about all the time and something that I learned and actually put it into practice. And it came in really handy. Anyway, they transmitted a whole bunch of messages last Wednesday, and they were a lot of fun. They were super interesting. They transmitted in CW. I copied about 4 of the messages. I thought I'd share them with you here real quick. Now I'm going to read them off fast. Keep in mind, these were actually transmitted from the commercial CW station KPH out in the West Coast, right there on the coast of, or out in California on the Pacific coast. And I was able to copy them in CW, and then I translated it here for you guys. And I'm going to read them off here real quick. They're just kind of cool. Here we go with the first message. CQ from KPH 9 to night. Broadcasting begins. Medium frequency and HF. Wait. Tonight's opening message follows. CQ from KPH 9 to night's opening message follows. QSW, meaning I will send on this frequency on HF. Break. All ships and stations break on this night of nights, 24. The Maritime Historical Society extends warm greetings to all listeners ashore and afloat. Great Coast stations once stood shoulder to shoulder on the radio bands, each with its own personality. Many of us thought it would never end. On 12 July 1999, the end of commercial Morris was announced. But Morris still lives and the faithful carry the tradition forward. This is the evening the signals of KPH and KFS can once again be heard just as they were so many radio officers on all the oceans of the world. We invite you to enjoy this evening with us and relive those days when Morse code ruled the oceans and the transmission. Very best regards and good luck from KPH. The opening message, and so I copied three or four other real short messages. I'll read them off here real quick. Again, I copied them in CW and then decoded them for you guys. So they're just kind of interesting to listen to from a real commercial CW station. So here's the next one. CQ from KPH. Commemorative messages follow. Break. Number 1, check November Charlie, San Francisco Radio /KPH 0002 Greenwich Mean Time, July 13th. Break. It's with great sadness and deep regret that we record the passing of Jack Martini, district manager, last manager of station KPH. Jack made a promise to keep KPH on the air as long as possible, and he kept that promise. He provided the Maritime Radio Historical Society with unwavering support and was a source of information for us on how station operations should be conducted. We wish you fair winds and following seas, old man. Break. And sign the Maritime Radio Historical Society. End of transmission. 2 to follow. Here's number 2. Check November Charlie, San Francisco Radio /KPH 0003 Greenwich Mean Time, July 13th, break. Farrell /K6HRO, break. You led the best team to fully restore our RCA single sideband T3 transmitter. Stop. That transmitter is on the air tonight, sending this message and many others into the ether. Stop. You will be missed by all. Stop. Fair winds and following seas, old man. Break. Very best regards, the Maritime Radio Historic. Number 3, we're getting to the end here. Check November Charlie, San Francisco Radio /KPH 0004, Greenwich Mean Time, July 13th, break.
Good afternoon. The time is 12.
Hotel, break. W6FFH, Mom and I think of you every day and just miss you like crazy. We wish you were here. Kudlami says hi and has one in the fridge for you. Break, and it's signed Mako Dildine and the transmission. And the last message. Number 4, check November Charlie, San Francisco Radio /KPH 000. RX for identification. Well, and here's the last message. My dad was the 0 Oscar November uniform /formally W5JFO and W5MBC was a radio operator in the United States Navy in the mid-1940s. He was a band director for over 60 years. Dad at sea always enjoyed radio, especially as a CW op. Traffic nets and Mars were his specialty, and later, as he moved away, regular contacts with me, Whiskey Romeo 5 Delta. Richard graciously gave us a tour of RS and BL in 2006. That was very special to my dad. He passed in 2013. Break. Thanks and best regards. And so BL and RF in that message refer to some of the transmitting stations along the coastline there in California. That's what they were talking about with those abbreviations. All of that being said, I hope you got kind of enjoyed it. I hope some others got a chance to copy that last week. It was really fun. It was super interesting. Had a great signal, almost armchair copy on the frequency that I was listening on. Now, they're going to do something really cool this weekend. I just got to share this with you. I touched on it a little bit last week. A special operation that they're going to do again. It's going to be this Saturday beginning at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're not got nothing going on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you might want to try this. It's super interesting. If you like history and communications with regard to cryptology, you'll find this really cool. Now, if you do plan on getting into it, you want to go to the website. Just Google Maritime Radio Historical Society. Again, it's Maritime Radio Historical Society. And you'll find the link to their website. You get there, select MRHF Events. You'll be right on the page I'm looking at right now. Have your paper and pencil handy. I just thought I'd save you a little bit of time. And I'll give you those frequencies. What cooperation with our good friends at the Cipher History Museum, will send a coded message this Saturday in 5-letter groups via the facilities of the commercial coastal station KPH on the Saturday, July 22nd, 2023 Pacific time. The message will be encrypted using the famous Enigma code machine and is an authentic message sent by a U-boat in the North Atlantic in 1942. Identify again, this is WDAREI for identification. This is the North Central Ohio Information Traffic Net. Just talking about the special event on the Enigma encrypted message is going to be transmitted this Saturday, beginning at 4 p.m. on a commercial CW frequency. You can decrypt it for a cool certificate, and we're a lot. So let me continue. All KPX listeners are invited to try their hand at receiving and decrypting the message. Certificates will be awarded for proof of successful decode, one for first to decode, boy, that'll be a challenge, and use of an original or a replica hardware Enigma. You CW operators out there, man, you got to give this a shot this Saturday. And if you don't copy CW, you can still record it with a computer or an audio recorder. Play it back at a slower speed if your CW is not that fast. They're going to transmit this, by the way, at 15 words per minute. So you say your Enigma machine is a bit rusty, perhaps it doesn't work properly. Well, that's not a problem. The Maritime Radio Historical Society, they have you covered. After you copy the cipher code off the radio, you can use a software simulation for an Enigma code machine, and there's a link to it. The site that I just gave you. You go to this that I'm reading right here, and I'll give it one more time at the end. There's a link to go to an Enigma simulator. Little information. The Enigma was the Germans' most sophisticated coding machine for securely transmitting command and control messages via radio communications in World War II. It was considered so secure that it was used to encipher the most top secret of messages. Now, the arrangement of Enigma's rotors and plug board connections provided a unique series of letter substitutions which changed with each keystroke. Daily rotor order and the ring and plug board settings to be used were specified in a code book distributed monthly to all users of the network. If you're interested in the Enigma machine and how it all works and everything, there's a link you can go to and check that all out. But for today, so you're ready to go for Saturday, here's the broadcast date and time formats of the crypto transmission. Okay, so the crypto broadcast will start at 2000 Zulu. That should be 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, July 22nd on all KPH CW frequencies. These are commercial frequencies. The broadcast will begin with a call-up. It will be in plain text announcing the broadcast, followed by the cipher message. All of the cipher messages will be sent at 15 words per minute. Now, if you can't copy that fast, just record it. Play it back at a slower speed. The cipher message will be sent in 5-letter groups, and the message will be sent twice to ensure proper reception. Help find the best signal, because there's a whole list of frequencies. They simulcast at all these different frequencies. The usual KPH channel marker or wheel, and it runs at 20 words a minute, that will precede the announcement for the crypto broadcast. That will be to give listeners a chance to tune to the strongest signal in their area. So before 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, maybe a quarter to 4, you might want to start tuning around and listening. Check the muff, see what the muff is. That'll help you right off the bat pick the best one. Here we go. These are the frequencies. The KPH, the commercial CW station will be transmitting on. Here's the first one. 426 kilohertz. The rest I'm going to give it to you in megahertz. 6.4775 megahertz. 8.642 megahertz. 12.8085 megahertz. 17.0168 megahertz. 22.4775 megahertz. Guys that like Rennie, and I know we got a few people on here, Ron was one of them, upon completion of the CW transmissions, the broadcast will be repeated at, 2015 or quarter after 4 on all of the KPH Rennie frequencies. Now the radio teletype transmissions will be 170 cycle per second shift at 45 baud on. Pretty amateur standard. Here are the Rennie frequencies if you're interested. I'm going to give them in megahertz. There's 3 of them. 6.3245 megahertz. Again, 6.3245 megahertz. 8.427 megahertz. 12.5855 megahertz. On decoding, let's assume you've copied the message off the radio. Remember, it's going to be cipher code. It's encrypted with the Enigma machine. So once you got it, you got to decrypt it with your Enigma code machine that you'll probably use online. I doubt anybody owns one. So decoding an Enigma machine requires the use of 2 keys. The daily key is valid for a particular day, and then there's a message key, which is unique to each individual message sent that day. I'm not going to read how to use the keys. You need to go to the website. Again, just Google historical radio. Google Maritime Radio Historical Society. Make sure I got that right. Maritime Radio Historical Society. Google it. You'll find the link, and you'll find the page, the link right to this page, right to what I'm looking at, and it will tell you what you need to do to decode that message using an Enigma simulator. It even has the link to the Enigma simulator that you'll use. Remember, you CW operators, or even if you're not a CW operator, you can still do it. They're going to issue certificates for the first person to decode the Enigma message, and that's going to be quite a challenge. They will also award a certificate for successful decode using original hardware. If I can imagine anybody's got an original Enigma machine. Also for somebody that decodes using a replica hardware Enigma. You can get a certificate for successful decodes of the message. I'll be satisfied if I could just do that. So definitely check it out. Read it over carefully. There's a couple videos, or at least a video, that you want to watch. You want to read the code book and understand it. Carefully take a little bit of time. You got till Saturday, and brush up on how to do it. And good luck. And don't forget, if you get it all done, you want to send your message to the email address. It's crypto@radiomarine.org. All the details are on the website.
challenge, and what a great piece of history. Hats off to the Maritime Radio Historical Society for putting on such a cool event. We're running late. Before we go to our FT 991A schematic, are there any other stations that would like to check in, or anybody with any questions or comments? Call now.
WAUJBT.
Bob? Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, I wasn't sure whether you caught me there or not. It kind of rung a bell when you were talking about the Enigma machine. Tom Pereira was the guy's name. I met him at a Hamfest, probably Rochester, New York. He used to come to Dayton. He actually built Enigma machines and sold them. I just kind of vaguely knew what they were at that time. But he was also a key collector, collect telegraph keys. I just looked up his website. Well, he's got an article, the enigmamuseum.com, and he was kind of an authority on the Enigma machines, and I guess he's probably involved with this museum, WAJBT.
My business, Bob. Yeah, I see his name mentioned a couple different times on the website. I think he was really instrumental in helping to get the station put back together and on the air. It's super interesting for anybody that's into the original CW conversions. And in this case, we're talking about encryption in the Enigma machine. It's super interesting. Yeah, I definitely seen his name mentioned, Bob. That's cool that you got to meet him. All right, anybody else? Anybody else? Before we go to the ECUFT 991A schematics. I'm going to give that website just one more time. Again, if you want to copy the crypto message, if you're a CW operator, you got to try this. This Saturday, probably about 3:45, you want to be ready to start tuning in. And you can find all the frequencies and all the details on what you need to do to decrypt the encrypted message. So just Google Maritime Radio Historical Society. Just Google that, and it will link to their website, and you'll find it. The heading will mention all intercept operators, crypto transmission from KPH. So definitely look at that page, because that's going to tell you just exactly what they're going to be doing. All right, switching gears. If you're following along, hopefully you have your block diagram and schematic, because we're specifically going to be looking at the ECUFT 991A HF power amp unit. If you've been following along, you'll know you can just Google ECUFT 991A service manual, and you'll find various links to the technical publication, and hopefully some of you got it in front of you. So what we try to do here is have a little bit of fun. It's supposed to just really basically give you an opportunity to look at a real service manual with a very complex radio, and maybe pick out a component or two and just identify them for us. And if you do that, we'll give you 1 point. And at the end of our 4-week-long session here, whoever reached the 4 points, or whoever got the most points, will win a lotto ticket. Pretty simple, doesn't take much. Just like I say, Google that manual, get it up in front of you. We're looking today at the HF PA unit, or PA module. That radio also has a VHF UHF PA module in it, but today we're looking at the HF module. So if you have it in front of you,
Who wants to take a shot at it? Just pick out a talk about part of the circuit. You want to describe something, or if you just want to ask something. I don't know if we got all the answers, but we'll try. Any of that participation will get you a point. So anybody who would like to jump in and give us some info on the 991 HFPA unit, call now.
KEARN.
EARN. Jim, I got you. Stand by a second. Anybody else? Quiet. Well, I'll add myself in there. Well, you knew I was going to do that, right? Okay, I'm on there too. While you're looking here, again, you can earn a point. You can work your way towards a lot millionaire. Leave that job you always hated. All you got to do is give us just a description or identify a part or any really participation with regard to the schematic diagram on the 991A HFPA unit. I'm going to go to Jim before I do. Anybody else want to get on the list? KEAPX. Ron, how you doing? KEPX. I got you on this list, Ron. What we'll do is we'll build a little list here, and then we'll go in order. I'll go to Jim first, then I'll come over to you, Ron. So I got you on the list. Anybody else? All right, just getting on the list gets you a point, almost, as long as you make a transmission. Well, let's go over to Jim and see what Jim's got. KERN, over to you, Jim.
With our discussion on the IC 7300, I was interested in the finals in my radio, the FT991A. And anyway, I looked at that, and Q4017 and 4018 are the finals in this HF unit. And their MOSFETs is an RD100 HHF1. And I looked that up and got the data sheet on it and appraised some stuff. And it sells for $65.91. So I was a little bit taken by that. And then I also looked at the finals in the VHF. And that one was $21.36. But I was interested in the fact that it was only a 7-watt unit. Anyway, back to you, KEARN.
Jim, very good. Well, Jim, you got yourself a point, well deserved, because you really did get to it. And so if you're all looking at your schematic of the HFPA unit of the Yaesu FT991A, look at about the top center of the schematic diagram, and you'll see the two MOSFETs that Jim just identified, and they're listed as Q4017 and Q4018. Jim gave us the actual manufacturer's part number, RD100HHF1. Even looked up a price for one, about $66 for one of those. And again, they are a MOSFET. They're not actually a transistor. They're a metal oxide, what's it, silicon field effect transistor. I think I said that right. And so that's interesting. And they look like they're wired in push-pull again, which seems to be a common arrangement in these HFPAs. Now, Jim also mentioned, the finals on the VHF UHF amp. Now, we didn't pick that out to cover that today, but I'm just going to comment on something that Jim mentioned. Maybe we'll do that next week. So the 7-watt module, Jim, there might be another, I'm not looking at that page right now, but the actual schematic for the VHF UHF PA unit, I think there's another higher power final device. It's a solid state device that gets the power up, I don't know, what is it, maybe 25 or 50 watts, whatever it is, on those two bands. Look a little bit closer to that diagram, and I think you'll find it. It looks a little bit different because it's kind of a, I think it's it's a solid state device of some type, and it's listed in there. You just got to look really close. We'll see that for next week, but good observation. What else, Jim? You got anything else on it?
Oh, that was about it.
Good job, Jim. Jim, you got 2 points, or you got one for last week, one for this week. So good input. Hopefully everybody got to see that. Identify the two MOSFETs that are the final power amplifier devices for the HFPA unit. You'll see it right there at the top center of the schematic diagram. Now let's see what Ron's got. KEPX. Ron, what you got?
Bill, I thought I was prepared for this, but I wasn't. So I'm just now on the diagram for it, and I'm looking at all the relays. It looks like AL4002 is one of them for it looks like 160 meters. Evidently, these are the tuning. Not sure what it is, but they're all 12-volt relays by the looks of them. There's AL4006, which is well, I guess that's possible that may be there's for different frequencies all the way through there. Is that what I'm seeing? Are that relays for like automatic tuning or what? Over.
Super good observation too there, Ron. So, I see right what you're pointing out, Ron. I'm looking right at it on my schematic, that AL4002 relay. So those relays, you see a whole bunch of them there. On this particular HFPA unit are what select the low-pass filter for the HF power amp. So when you hit the button to change bands, the microprocessor selects which group of relays to activate, which then enables that low-pass filter. So just as you mentioned, that was 160 meters. Looks like what is it, 1.7 to 2 megahertz. And you see all the different frequency bands listed as you go down that whole part of the schematic. So what you're looking at there is coming out of the power amp module, right from those MOSFETs Jim talked about. It gets fed into one of these low-pass filters, and that depends on what band you selected, and the processor selects those two relays. There's a relay to the input of the low-pass filter, and there's a relay on the output of the low-pass filter. So only one bank gets selected. So that's what that is. You were right on, really. Last radio when we were talking about the ICOM 7300, the ICOM 7300, its low-pass filters were actually on a physically different board. Now, in the Yaesu FT91A, they actually put the low-pass filter physically, they're right on the board that the amplifier itself is built on. You mentioned the tuning unit. That is on a separate board in this radio. Matter of fact, if you were to look at the block diagram, you'll see the ATU antenna tuning unit, and you can see the input and the output jacks that feed the external, or not the external, but the internal antenna unit. They're located right on the very bottom towards the right of the schematic diagram, and they're labeled TRX side and antenna side. Those are the ports that would feed the antenna tuning unit. And so you can see also see at the bottom of the schematic, in the bottom right there, there's relays there. Those are bypass relays to bypass the tuning unit or to allow the output of the PA to go into the antenna tuning unit. Those two relays are what make that happen. So when you select the antenna tuning unit, those get activated. And then the very relay right to the right
right. It's right in the bottom right corner of the schematic. That is the actual transmit receive relay of the radio. Good observations, Ron. What else? You got anything else on that?
Now, I see what you're talking about, and I also see down at the bottom, there's the HF 50. Is that the 6-meter connection for the antenna, or what is that there?
Hey, so I'm just looking at it here. So looking at the bottom right of the schematic, just see where it says ANT for antenna. So the main HF and 6-meter antenna come in on that connector. They when the radio's not transmitting, they could come through the transmit receive relay, and if you follow that, it comes right down to that connector. You said the HF receive. So basically, what that's doing is it's directing the receive signal from the antenna to the HF/6-meter receiver, as opposed to the VHF UHF receiver. Those get passed off somewhere else. If you look on this board, you'll see the other connectors. I haven't found them here yet, but they're on here somewhere else on the schematic, where they actually feed a VHF and UHF signal to the VHF and UHF portion of the receiver. So again, to answer your question, that HF/50 connector, that goes to the HF 6-meter receiver.
I see that now. Yes. Okay. That's all I got. It's an interesting schematic. There's items that aren't identified very well, like as far as what it is, what they are, and I'm looking for that output device that you were talking about. And I'm not sure what it is. Like I said, I wasn't prepared with the proper diagram right now. I'm looking at it through the zoom lens on the output PA. So back to you, Jeff.
Good job, Ron. Yeah, there's no doubt. Just casually looking at the diagrams for the first time. Oh yeah, I mean it's complex, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it takes time to digest what you're looking at. And that's why I try to give the info out a week ahead, which board we'll be looking at. Give people a time if they want to kind of look at it carefully beforehand. But yeah, a lot of times you don't have the time, you can't do it, so you got to look at it at the moment. And there's a lot going on there. One of the things that's really handy is going from the schematic back to the block diagram, which a lot of times makes it much simpler to see the signal flow. And I just did that now, Ron, and I see that the signals come from the antenna in that HF antenna connector. They go through the PA board relay contacts, and then they're fed on that HF50 receiver connector, and then you have to follow that to see where they get separated to go into a UHF and VHF receiver for the multi-band radio. And I haven't even looked at that part of the diagram, but there's probably a separate external antenna connector just for UHF and VHF, I'm sure. But again, going back to the block diagram a lot of times helps to follow the signal path, and then when you're really ready to drill down to the component level, that's a good time, of course, to go to the schematic. Well, if anybody else, but Ron gives Ron a point there too. Anybody else want to chime in here? Just anything will get you a point.
JBT.
GBT, Bob, you're up.
Okay, I haven't really been following the schematic, but I was looking at that radio before about my 7300, and I remember seeing several comments. I think the earlier versions of the earlier production runs were having trouble with the finals going out, and it had something balancing the current wasn't done properly at the factory between the two final transistors. Over.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I wasn't aware of that. I didn't see those, Bob. That's good to know. You know, I've seen some different versions in the technical manuals where some of them have different versions of the boards, and I'm wondering if if some of those changes aren't have to do with some of the things that you were just talking about, where they made some different production changes to compensate for some problems in their finals. And balancing, it must be that idling current or just the current general in the PA. Very interesting. I was looking at the schematic and I see there. You can see where there are two potentiometers. Everybody remembers a potentiometer. I think one's what is it? Boy, my eyes are bad here. VR 921 maybe and 922. And I might have those numbers wrong, but they're kind of in the top left portion of the schematic. And there's where they make those idling current adjustments for the two halves of the PA. And actually, there's even a place where you insert an ammeter to set that current. So that's kind of interesting. The manual, I noticed that the manual is really good at covering the alignment instructions, but there's really next to nothing on a technical explanation. And some of the manuals are like that, so you really gotta dig into it to understand what's going on. But very interesting, Bob. I wasn't aware of that, but yeah, getting the current adjusted right would be important. I would imagine if it's unbalanced, one of those MOSFETs is going to pull harder than the other one to the point where, I suppose it could overheat and damage itself. What else, Bob?
Well, that was the main thing I thought of. That wasn't the deciding factor because apparently the problem was corrected in later production. I see a couple of YouTube videos where they showed how to do that adjustment. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting that they had a problem with it early, but apparently there's no problem with the later models. WJBT, back to you.
Good deal, Bob. Very good. Yeah, everybody that owns an MT991A, their ears perked up, right? No, that's good information, though. Absolutely. Super cool, man. I have to check that out. See if I can find the videos there and watch that. And yeah, we just kind of look at the diagram and try to identify some components, try to understand how some of it works. But yeah, the alignment instructions there, and then the video Bob was watching, they talk about the adjustments of the idling current. And again, if you look closely at the schematic, you'll see the two variable potentiometers. Everybody learned what a schematic symbol looks like for a pot. You'll see them on the diagram, and you get a little better idea of what they're doing there. And you can see where you insert an ammeter. How's Bob?
No, that was just that been listening to the discussion, but like I said, that wasn't my deciding factor, but I just ran across that while I was trying to decide which one to get. So that's all I had on that WJBT.
My business, Bob. Yeah, the ASU 991A and the ICOM 7300, you can do a lot of contrast and comparison. There's some differences and there's some similarities. And yeah, I guess you gotta weigh out what you like. That's kind of neat, just like buying a car, I guess. Anyway, very good. Thank you, Bob. I got you a point. Anybody else want to get on the list? We're getting close to quitting time here. I got a couple observations I wanted to make here. Just identify a couple things. I see a symbol that was new to me, kind of. And if you look at your schematic for the HFPA unit, right in the bottom right-hand corner, near where it says antenna or ANT, you'll see a symbol that looks like a Z, the capital Z. If you can see the schematic symbol ID, D4027, D4027. There's another one not too far away from it, D4016. And I thought those were interesting little components. I wonder what they were. And so if you're wondering what they are a chip surge absorber. What the heck is that? Well, it's a lightning arrestor. Although it will not handle a direct lightning hit. Actually, just about nothing will take a direct lightning hit. But it will help with nearby lightning strikes so that you don't get damage to the front end of your radio. You'll see that it's literally right across the antenna input, right to ground. It's called a chip surge absorber. And the only way I knew that was I looked up the manufacturer's part number, which is on the diagram, and you can find out everything you want to know about how that little chip device works. Of interest, you want to keep in mind is it is just a chip component. It's only about 4 millimeters by 3 millimeters big. It's really tiny. And so, for you guys that own those radios, well, you know what? For all of us that own any of the new radios, you get lightning storms in the area, that sort of thing. It's probably a good idea to disconnect antennas before the lightning storm. These devices, these little chip surge absorbers, they will save your radio, but if they fail in a state where they are actually loading the input, they're going to kill your receiver sensitivity, and it'll probably affect your power output too. And they're very physically tiny. Again, they're only about 4 millimeters by 3 millimeters. Again, from what I see, they're going to save major damage to your radio for the most part. But again, if they fail, a lot of times they can reset, by the way, so many times, but they can fail in a state that causes you problems. So you might want to be aware of that. Again, during lightning storms, probably a good idea to ground the inputs to your antenna or just disconnect the radio. That'll save you from any damage to those surge absorbers. My last observation, and we'll call it quits here today, has to do with a cool feature of the Yaesu radio. Now, the Yaesu radios support an antenna technology called auto active tuning antennas. Back a number of weeks back, Lenny, N8XLQ, described one of his auto-active tuning antennas that he uses with his Yaesu radio. And so that's kind of a feature that's where those antennas are unique just to these Yaesu radios. And what got me looking at that was after I traced the signal from the antenna connector through the transmit-receive relay, I also noticed that there was a path that goes up through another funny-looking low-pass filter that feeds a whole bunch of about 5 different transistors. I got scratching my head and wonder what that was about. Well, looking at the schematic, it tells you ATS controller. I looked at my block diagram and I see that's right in the front, right where the signal comes in off the antenna. It's before it even gets to the antenna relay. And what that is that's the electronics that is used to decode the data coming from the auto-active tuning antenna, and then it's fed to those transistors and then to the microprocessor, and then the microprocessor talks back through those combination of transistors right back out through that filtering mechanism that you can see in the path, right out to the antenna. So those are the components that are used to encode and decode the data to and from the auto-active antenna or tuning antenna. If you got the schematic, if you look at the antenna connector all the way over on the bottom right, if you follow that path going straight up above the absorber, you start following that, you see where it goes through what looks like a low-pass filter, which it probably is for the data of some kind. It makes its way all the way back to what's labeled ATAS controller.
And there are the transistors. One is used for providing the receive data, going right to the processor. It's labeled, I think, ANNG, and then the processor outputs on ANCV. That's probably antenna control voltage, and that's what clocks these transistors and feeds data out to the auto active tuning antenna. That looks pretty sensitive, man. That's like a direct DC connection all the way in. Wow. Once again, boy, if you see lightning in your area, there would be a good reason you would want to disconnect your antenna, because those components, those little probably surface-mounted transistors, and you can look right at the pictorial of the diagram and see if they are. I'm sure they probably are. Very tiny. They're literally direct coupled via this low-pass filter. There are coils in the low-pass filter right out to the antenna. So those would be, I would think, pretty sensitive to damage from any electrostatic discharge or nearby lightning strikes. So again, those radios, I would definitely make sure I disconnect my antenna if you got lightning in the area. Those are my observations. Anybody got anything else? Anything you want to add or anything you want to correct me on? I don't have one of these radios. There's a lot about them I don't know, but it's always fun to delve into the service manuals and learn a little bit and identify some of these schematic components. Anybody else want to get on the list? Just point anything out on the diagram that you're looking at. Everybody's quiet. It's time to go to lunch. Let's do this, guys. First of all, good participation. Bob and Jim and Ron all got a point here today. Let's plan on taking a look. Let's pick something completely different. Let's look at the phase lock loop unit next week. Okay, the PLL unit. You'll see that. You'll see where it has two cables that connect it to the main unit if you look at the block diagram. So we'll be looking at that schematic and talking a little bit about some components on the phase lock loop unit next week. I think it's time to wrap it up. Don't forget this Saturday, maybe about a quarter to 4 p.m., you CW operators especially, don't forget to go to the Maritime Historical, or I keep saying it wrong, the Maritime Radio Historical Society webpage and find the information, all the details on how you can copy the Enigma encrypted message from the commercial CW transmitting site, KPH, out on the West Coast. That'll begin 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Saturday. A lot of fun. You can earn a cool certificate if you can just decode the message. That's enough for today. Who else out there has an announcement? Anything you want to bring up? Here's your chance to get in here. Anything you want to announce? It doesn't even have to be amateur radio related. Call now. EPC. Go right ahead.
Right, well, I just wanted to come by and say thanks again for the great net, and I wanted to tell everybody, if you're able to, come and visit us for the Beacon net on the W8WKY repeater. That's 147.390 with a positive offset and PL tone of 114.8. Every Sunday and Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We always have a great trivia question and a great time, so come down and join us if you can. We're also linked in on All-Star and Echolink. You can find us on All-Star node 48496 and Echolink W8WKY-R. Thanks again for the great net. We'll catch you next week. This is KDEPC. Back to net control.
All right, Dustin, fine business. Thank you for all the information on the Beacon Sundays and Wednesday evenings beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They have a trivia question and something to have a great time. You mentioned the W8WKY repeater on 147.390 with a positive offset, and they use a PL tone of 114.8. Now, what I like is they're on All-Star on 48496
or on Echolink at W8WJR-R. We'll definitely check that out. Sounds really, really cool, Dustin. Thanks for the information. Anybody else? Anything?
PPC, one more time with a quick correction for you.
Go right ahead.
The Echolink is Whiskey 8 Whiskey Kilo Yankee -R. Whiskey 8 Whiskey Kilo Yankee -R. Thanks so much. Have a great day. KDPC back to net control.
I'm glad you corrected me on that because that was going to be the connection I was going to make. W8WKY-R on Echolink. All right, got it. Thanks, Dustin. Appreciate it. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm hungry. Thanks, Jeff. And thank you, boy.
Yeah, me too.
You, Jim. All right, let me get the thank yous in here real quick. Thank you to Bob. Thanks to Dan. Thanks to Ron. Thanks to Jim. Thanks to Pat. And thanks to Lenny. These guys all really jumped in here and helped out all different ways and give us lots of good information. And they make the net interesting. Thank you to all those guys. Everybody have a great week. Good luck. Anybody that tries to copy the Enigma message this Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 73 you guys. This is WB8RAI in the North Central Ohio Information and Traffic Net. Watch the weather for tomorrow. 73 is the net now clear.
And an XLQ clear.